When it comes to attaining the highest possible levels of spiritual evolution, ascension, self-realization, enlightenment, God realization, illumination, any of those terms and any other terms that exist that describe that same state can only be accomplished when you truly embrace and understand the concept of nothing outside of self exists. Hello, my name is Zimmeron, and thank you so much for watching, consuming this content in whatever way, shape, or form that you do. I am a breakthrough specialist transformation coach. I help people transform their lives from the inside out and help them attain the highest possible levels of self-mastery so that they can live in any aspects of their life at 100%, 100% of their full potential. Now, truth be told, 100% is never actually attainable, because as you grow and as you evolve, there's more and more experiences to be had, and there's more and more growth to be had. But I'll get to that shortly. But before I do, please like, share, subscribe, sign up to my website, join my Facebook group, join me for a free live reclaiming session. Whatever you can, whatever you want, I'm here to help you attain everything that is available to you. And for those that don't know me, I lived in ashrams for over 20 plus years of my life. I've traveled the world. I produced pilgrimages all over the place: Israel, Jordan, Egypt, India, outback safaris, Kenya, Tanzania, and all sorts of different exotic locations. And I've spent time with spiritual masters, saints, yogis, shaman, NLP practitioners, hypnosis specialists, and done all sorts of different modalities. And the truth is that this concept of nothing outside of self is the single most important concept to understand. And it was a terminology that we used and utilized in the ashram where I spent the majority of my time training and, living a very interesting and fascinating lifestyle. So what does nothing outside of self mean? Well, what it means is that every single thing in your reality is a reflection of you. It is speaking to you. It is telling you something. And the whole point of it speaking to you is for you to be listening and understanding why it is that you create and manifest certain circumstances and situations in your life. Now, to understand that this concept is actually quite literal, I have to really pull back the lens a little bit and talk a little bit about creation, a little bit about the universe, the oneness, or unconditional love, as I like to call it. Or sometimes I'll throw the word God out there just to see how many people might react to that terminology that has been extremely misrepresented and bastardized through a lot of the religious belief systems that are out there. And mostly because people see or project this human type persona on God, but God is just a label for everything, for the complete and utter oneness that is infinite, has no beginning, has no middle, has no end, and just exists as this vast expanse of emptiness. Now, science has already proven this to be fact, and that is that the quantum field, as it's labeled, is this infinite void of energy, of consciousness that you're able to tap into. And it's a state of timelessness, of oneness, where there is no distance at all. And that oneness is what I call God. It's what I call love. Now, the question is, why would I call it God? Okay, like why even go there if so many people could potentially get upset by that terminology or misunderstand it? The reason why is because it really helps you understand the power and the nature of that oneness. But it goes further than that. Because if everything is all one, meaning there is no separation, it's all just one. Everything's all interconnected by the quantum field, and everything in all of existence is just vibrating at a different rate in different dimensions, and all of that determines how we and lower frequency life forms experience reality and perceive reality. It's much like a radio with a dial on it, and you're going through the different frequencies, and you can hear one radio station, you go a little bit further along, you can hear another radio station, and so forth. It's the same thing. So different dimensions and different frequencies of reality exist on this broad spectrum that is actually infinite. So, if everything is all one and everything is all connected, and we label that as God or unconditional love, which I'll get to a little bit later on, we label that as God, then that means that 100% of this reality and you and me and all this stuff behind me and the camera and everything else in existence is God. Now, one might say, well, it's not really all of God, it's just an aspect of God. It's still all God. Not only that, science has shown that communication, there is no distance. You could communicate from here to another universe, and it's instantaneous when you are able to connect into the quantum field and into those frequencies of reality, of that void. This is all scientific proof. Tests have been done, and it has been very much explained. And you can Google it, do whatever you want, really doesn't matter to me. Now, I'm only explaining this in a way that I can get to my point. If everything is God, that means 100% of you is God. Just because you don't believe it, just because you don't see it, and just because you don't experience it, doesn't mean it's not so. I can't see the air, yet I know that it's here because I'm breathing it. I can't perceive the higher dimensions, though I have experienced it, and I have actually perceived it, but like right now, right? And there's countless examples of that. Just think of all the stories about extraterrestrials that exist out in the world. Millions of stories. or accounts of people seeing mysterious things, or ghosts, or apparitions, or any of that. If just one of those stories are true, then it's true. Besides the fact that, to me anyway, it's all very, very logical. There's nothing fancy about all of this. There's nothing to get upset about or to be afraid of. Because when you start realizing, as you open yourself up to all possibilities, and you start going within and you start realizing that there is more to this reality than meets the eye, then you start tapping into, and you can start having experiences that you never would have thought possible. And you don't need psychedelics and all these other different tools to do so. Though the most powerful tool that we have at our disposal is meditation. And meditation is for communication, not for sitting in silence, by the way. So, nothing outside of self comes from the place of understanding that we're all one, we're all interconnected, that ultimately you are God, and everything in this reality is you, an aspect of you. Therefore, everything that's happening is happening the way it needs to, the way it's meant to, and the way that we agreed to and have allowed to happen. Now, because of the way that the different dimensions work, and we're in a low dimension, right? We're in the third dimensional reality / fourth, if you've had your spiritual awakening and you are now living more from these spiritual principles that I'm talking about. So everything here is slowed down, and this is nothing more than an experience for our souls to have as a part of infinity. It's just an experience. It's an infinite experience. Not as this form, but as a greater aspect of you that eventually would encompass all of existence if you were able to tap into the highest of realms of reality. So the reason why nothing outside of self is an extremely important concept is because when you understand everything that I'm saying, then you start understanding how, when I talk about love, that how love is the guide, how love is the way in which you can raise your vibration and you can tap into the true essence and true nature of yourself, because you are love. You are unconditional love. That is the experience of God. It's the experience of oneness. Now, it's not the human romantic love. It's a different type of love. That's peace, that's a knowingness, that's fulfilling, that's imbued with this knowingness, with this peace, with this trust, with a level of faith, and being able to navigate this reality from a place of you being the master of it. That's why it's called self-realization or God-realization or self-mastery or enlightenment, which is illumination. That's what a lot of the great sages and masters and saints accomplished and attained in their form, in their bodies. And that's why they were so revered, because they attained something that has been unreachable and very difficult to attain for the average human being or soul that's incarnating on this planet. But times have changed. We're evolving into a higher frequency of reality, and that's the reason why the world looks the way it does. Now listen, I've got plenty of videos and all of that sort of stuff, so check them out. But let's get back to nothing outside of self exists. So when you start realizing it's all you, well then suddenly there's no one to blame, right? When things go belly up. Suddenly you can start looking at, well, if this is happening to me and I don't like it, or it's not working for me, or I seem to keep recreating the same thing over and over again in my life, like certain types of relationships, or I can't seem to break free or break through a certain level of income, or this particular health issues that I just can't seem to beat. If you look at that as a gift and a blessing, because that's the only reason why we create and manifest anything in our lives, good, bad, or indifferent, is as a gift and as a blessing. So if it's impacting you in any way, shape, or form and causing a negative reaction, a negative feeling, or a negative emotion, and causing you stress or distress, then there's something there for you to look at. There's something for you to learn. And when you learn it and when you overcome it truthfully, from a place of understanding it's all you, because you can't do it as a victim. You can't do it by blaming other people, because then you're a victim and then you're disempowered. But when you own it fully as you, then you are able to literally recreate it. You are able to gain everything that you need to from it and then let it go. And when you do that, the gift is learning the lesson and seeing it for what it is, the truth of every situation and circumstance. The blessing is that you'll not have to recreate that same circumstance ever again. And if you do, because we do live on a planet and there are 8 billion other people contributing to this matrix, to this collective consciousness of what we perceive and how we experience this reality, then you just won't react to it. You won't respond to it. You'll just glide straight through it. It won't impact and affect you. So when I lived in the ashram, that's what we would do. When things would come up, we would look at, well, why did I create that? What is the gift and the blessing of it? What do I need to do to move this through me? If I have emotions coming up, what do I do to release and let go of that emotion? And there's many things you can do. You can journal, you can beat something up, you can go for a run, you can scream, you can yell, you can cry, whatever the different emotional releases are, but that is the fastest way. It's the single fastest way to release and let go of anything, is to have the emotional release, because that is the glue that holds that trauma, that abuse, that non-love, that distortion, that negative energy to your body. Because any non-loving negative energy that comes from inside of you, even if it's in reaction to what's out there, is because of stuff that's already inside of you. Usually blocked emotions, trauma, abuse, and certain belief systems and perceptions and assessments of what happened to you in your past. And those programs and those conditions run you every single day without your permission. without your permission. So when I say that you're God, or I'm God, or everything's all one, everything's God, then think about how empowering that is. Not from a narcissistic standpoint, because God is unconditional love. So in order for you to truly be God and realize yourself as God and to live as God, you would have to live as love, pure love. You wouldn't be able to do anything non-loving in the world. It would actually be impossible. Now, if you ask me, well, why is all this non-love happening in the world? Why is all this craziness and is wars and is murders and all this sort of stuff? And it's because of the programming. It's because of the conditioning. It's because this reality has a mechanism that is known as free will. You have the free will to do whatever you want and to make the choices that you want, in the hopes that you will learn the lessons that you would need to. Because if you get slapped in the face enough times, well, hopefully you won't do the thing that is causing you to get slapped in the face, right? That would be logical. But over time, humanity has gotten very resilient in a negative way, and started believing that they're separate, that God's not there for them, that they're not there for them. Started believing that they're less than, that they're broken, and so forth and so forth and so forth. It's really, really important to understand. The goal is to remove all the non-love, all the conditions, all the programs, all the clutter, and to summon as much unconditional love without conditions into yourself, for not only yourself, but for everything and everyone else. Why? Because it's all you in the first place. It's all one and the same. And that's the reason why these great masters were called masters, because they mastered their reality. That's the reason why they were able to walk and are able to walk in total peace, in total love, and get nailed onto a cross. Whatever, doesn't really matter. I'm immortal anyway. It's just an experience. Think about it. 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 plus years. In infinity, not really that much. Besides the fact that a lot of us have been doing this for a long time. And it is true that the frequencies and the vibration of the planet fluctuates over time. So we just happen to be at a particular juncture where there's a mass awakening happen, and the earth itself is evolving and ascending into a higher dimensional reality of love. Because the higher dimensions are higher frequencies of love. And all the denser, lower vibrations cannot sustain itself in those higher dimensions. It's a bulletproof system. It's a bulletproof system. And if you want to know more, then sign up for one of my courses or one of my programs, or come to my events, or reach out to me, or get coaching, or whatever you want. I will show you how to apply this into your life and help you see things for what they truly are. And I will teach you the art of soliciting the help of your higher self to make everything in your life infinite times easier, so that there's no more fear, there's just love, so that you don't need to be concerned and worried, because you know that you're never alone, and that the universe is always, always, for every single individual on this planet, regardless of who they are and what they've done, the universe is always 100% there for you. But obviously, the lower your vibration, with the lower vibrational thoughts, it's impossible for it to get through, right? Because you've got this force field and this barrier that you've created. And it's your jail sentence, your own self-imposed jail sentence. That is what hell is. That's what hell is. It's a state of mind, state of consciousness. It's not a destination and it's not a place. And there's no such thing as punishment at all. We make choices, and those choices create results. And this is what it looks like. And when you break out of this reality, the matrix, so to speak, then you start having this bubble of protection. You start avoiding some of the traps and some of the craziness that everyone else is susceptible in this world. And it's quite literally magical. Like, I cannot even begin to explain how magical it is to live and walk in the world in this sort of consciousness and this sort of space. And with this sort of perception of reality. And you know what the coolest thing about it is? That it's free. It's your natural state. It's your natural state. You came from the all of all, so love is your natural state. It's just all the conditioning and programming that we received, that you now have all these things that are inhibiting you from realizing your full potential and what's available to you. And it's so much more beyond what you think, because if anything that you're putting your focus on and wanting and desiring is really very material based, I can tell you now that your eyes are set on a very, very low target, because it has nothing to do with how much is in your bank account, has nothing to do with how much press you get, has nothing to do with how famous you are, it has nothing to do with what your status is or what your job or role or position is. It has nothing to do with the money in your bank account. It has nothing to do with how much you donate to people. It has nothing to do with how many people you heal. It has nothing to do with any of that. Those are just experiences, and those are just things that you will do as a part of and for the ultimate outcome of becoming all that you truly are and all that you were born to be from the inside out. And if that didn't make sense, that's okay. I would much rather have what I need and what the universe knows that I need better than I know myself, and to be walking around in total peace, in total love, as much as I possibly can, because I have not attained any of those consciousnesses that I have mentioned yet. And I would never divulge if I had, because there's no reason to. But that is the highest place, because wouldn't you rather have that and be able to do whatever it is that you need to do, and it's all in alignment with you, your personality, your true desires, your true dreams, your true passions, than be pursuing millions of dollars or the ultimate big business and all this ego and vanity and look at me and all of this hoo-ha and then grinding and selling and marketing and manipulating. You know what I mean? It's not that you don't have to do those other things, but when it's guided from the inside out, it's easier because you're in alignment with who you are. Whereas the other way is the work hard, play hard, hustle, grind, all of that sort of stuff. Why grind? Why would the universe want anyone to grind themselves down? Now, don't get me wrong. there are lessons to be had. Because if there's something that you're wanting in your life that you don't have right now, then there's stuff that you need to overcome in order to get to the final destination. But that's my whole point. The things that you need to overcome are on the inside, not on the outside. Those are just the vehicles to assist you. And when you see everything is all you, and you can get the gift and the blessing of every single circumstance, then you will go through it faster and quicker, and you will attain all that you meant to super fast, because you're in alignment with you, your higher self. And if you're doing the work that I teach and that I show people to do, and you're consciously meditating / communicating with your higher self, two-way communication, then OMG, it's literally like sitting in a sports car and just sitting back and it driving itself straight to the destination that you want to go to. You don't even have to get a map out. You don't even have to steer. You don't have to drive, because your higher self is doing it for you. Now, that doesn't mean you don't take action and all of that sort of stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I'm trying to paint this big picture so that you can understand where I'm coming from. So owning the fact that you are God, and using that word, because it means something, right? It's the Almighty, the All-Powerful. That you are that empowers you to be able to change and to believe and to know that you are able to change and overcome any aspect of your life, even if it weren't true. Because the only thing in the way are your beliefs. Whatever you believe is real. Period. And becomes your reality. So nothing outside of self exists is an immensely powerful statement. And so whenever something happens to you, ask. Remind yourself, nothing outside of self exists. Why did I create that? As the creator of your reality, and having chosen to embody it this particular time, at this juncture, in this body. Really, really powerful stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you can to help me out, to get the word out. Really, 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 I really appreciate it. And yeah, join me for one of my free events or coaching or whatever. Just hit me up. Doesn't really matter. And give me feedback. Ask me questions. If you want certain content, let me know. Let me know. I'm here to help, I'm here to serve, and it's a pleasure. There's nothing more important than being able to become all that you truly are and to live in this world, in this paradise, without fear, with trust, and ultimately with love.